Hello, it's Jesse here, and we got this 1974 Norton here on the lift. A while back we did a video on changing out the carburetors from Makunis to Amels, like they properly belong in here, because Amels seem to work better for me anyway. But anyways, we got this on the lift because at the end of that video we talked about how we thought we had a little bit of a noise in the bottom end. And we're going to, work on this and try to figure out what it is. We're believing it's bearings, lower end bearings, but we're going to find it out when we get into it. But anyway, we got to do a lot of stuff here when we're starting to get into the motor like this. So this is not a unit motor. This Nortons aren't, because they got the separate transmission from the engine itself. Of course, in case you didn't know. So what we'll end up doing is we'll take a lot of this stuff off, like the tank, exhaust, the primary system, inner and outer. And what we'll do is we will take probably the head off, the carburetors of course, and we'll probably remove the head like I said, and then we'll just pull the whole engine out and work on it that way. Instead of trying to do it in the bike, it'd be almost impossible to do it that way anyway. So we're gonna get started here. All right, so far we got the seat removed. It's pretty simple to do. We've seen all this happen in the last video when we were messing with the carburetor, but we gotta do it again because this is like the first things you do when you work on Nortons. You gotta remove the seat and the tank most of the time to do anything. A lot of things. But all jokes aside, though, I mean, you don't really have to, but because if you're working on a primary, of course you wouldn't have to remove the tank, but you know what I mean. Anyways, so to remove the seat, you pretty much just loosen these up, these little knobs here, and then you pull the seat right off. And then removing the tank, we got remember we can remove these from the front here, up in here, and then in the back here, that's the other strap that holds the rear part of the tank to the frame. And then of course before you pull the tank off, you unhook the fuel lines. But anyway, we're going forward here, and we'll be to that motor before you know it here. There we go, we got the tank removed, and then now we're working on removing some of the exhaust here. So we're starting off on this side here.
Loosening up the bolts.
Yeah, so you just got to remove the muffler mounting brackets back here, these bolts here. They're rubber mounted, and then same with like the connecting clamp here. But what we'll probably do is we'll probably pull the whole group off maybe together. So
Yep,
so what we're doing, we're just removing this bolt here and nut from the top and from the bottom. We'll leave that together, and then we'll loosen it up here and pull the whole unit off. Alright, so we got the exhaust off, and we got it sitting over here nice and out of the way. And anyway, we also removed the air filter element, air cleaner pieces, and yeah, we're going to be moving the carbs and stuff here too. So we'll be moving the top engine mount head steady, so the whole unit.
And the oil line.
Oh yeah, the oil line, we'll have to remove that of course as well, and because we're taking the head off also. So anyway, move along here. Alright, we got the carburetors removed as a group here, sort of. The only thing that's really holding them together as a group is that the cables and this like crossover tube here for venting. So and anyway, we're moving forward here. A little bit more to do here when we get to the motor. Alright, so we got the top motor head steady removed. There was a bolt here that went to or a stud actually that went to the top here, and it's a ground. So we want to remember that it was a ground. So we just kind of like
underneath the head steady right to there.
Yeah, so we want to make sure we put that back the way it was. So we kind of just reference that. So anyways, all right, we're getting ready to take this head off. So. All right, so we got the covers off the head here. We're starting to loosen up some of the head bolts. There's two hidden ones underneath here. And a lot of people seem to forget these when they go to remove the head, and they end up prying and breaking fins off the cylinders and stuff. But don't forget to take that one out. It looks like this. It's all buried up underneath there. Right now he's removing the one over there.
It's way up under. I got it about half out right now.
Let's come on over there and check it out.
It's about half out now.
Yeah, see it right there?
Normally it's almost flush with this bottom fin.
Yeah, it's like invisible. It's hard to see without really pointing it out like that.
And knowing where it's at.
So anyway, just about ready to take the head off here. All right, so here we go. We're getting ready to take the head off here. We're starting to remove the head bolts here. We're discovering a head gasket leak on this thing, so that's kind of nice to know right now. It doesn't matter because we're taking it apart. We're gonna have to redo it anyway, so it kind of all works out. So, anyways, yeah, we got these two head bolts over here on this side and two over there. And of course, like I said a little bit ago, the two that are hidden down here in the front.
There's
and then we
one
have,
here.
yeah, the one in the rear. I knew that.
There's three hidden right down in the middle here.
Oh yeah, okay, yep.
One way in the middle, right up back here.
I don't know if you can see that very well, but
No, you can't see them all. They're already loose.
so there's two here and one way back there. So.
We knew the head was leaking a little because it was seeping oil along here.
Yeah, I kind of thought I saw that.
And we shouldn't get any oil dripping out of these bolts. The upside down bolts.
The upside down ones?
Both of them are. So oil was seeping out of them too.
So you see that? That's obviously a gasket problem.
It's got a copper head gasket. And it's going to get a composite. It's got stainless head bolts.
There's the front middle one. It's kind of hidden back there. Of course, can't see it now, but just a second here.
It's already lifted the head.
Yeah, see it hidden back there. So
I save this one for last always because it's in the middle of the head.
did you save that one for last?
Yep. So that way you don't warp the head or bend it or whatever.
So if there's any sort of like problems, it kind of keeps it from being created by leaving that one in.
Okay, she's ready.
All right.
I'm going to pull these off of here.
Oh, the coil.
Hopefully we don't have to take coils off.
Yeah, there's some. Okay.
Got to push all these way up inside.
So the push rods, yeah, they get pushed up in the inside there, and then
There we go.
there we were able to pull it out that way. There we go. I got the head off. Yeah. So there's our copper head gasket. Push rods, of course, go down in here in the cylinder.
And you can tell it's been leaking. There's oil all around it.
It's been leaking quite a bit, or kind of bad actually.
Yeah.
All right, so assessing what we got so far, we've come across a problem with the engine. Looks like possibly a wrist pin keeper situation because we can clearly feel that groove right there. You can see clearly.
Yeah, it catches your fingernail. Doesn't
So
look good.
first off, we didn't know what the knock was. We were assuming maybe bottom end because we didn't think the top end was bad on this thing, but now we're starting to see that there might be a bad situation here. Needs to be addressed as well. We're still gonna I think we're still going to possibly check the bottom end, but it depends on how far we get. Hopefully this doesn't end up like the Triumph. That motor was pretty messed up, but no, this one is actually pretty good. But yeah, we're gonna have to address this. So I wanted to point that out. It's kind of too bad. But when we go to take the cylinder off and the pistons, we'll be able to tell if we had a faulty wrist pin keeper or something. So, because we just rebuilt this not that long. I mean, that was a while ago, but this thing barely gets ridden, and because of that noise, and I didn't realize that this might be the noise all along. So we'll find out. All right, so with taking the cylinder off here, just like we could take these ones all the way out, but the back ones, I'll show you in a second here. They got kind of come up a little bit, loosen, come up a little bit, loosen. Yeah. So there's that one, and back here, these are kind of like wedged in between this fin and here, so we can't remove them all the way.
Not yet.
So when we loosen up the cylinder, we pull it up, we'll be able to get it out the rest of the way. It's kind of like a little lock kind of a deal thing, but anyway, that's kind of that. So anyway, keep going here. All right, so we have these base nuts, like I was saying. We have 3 in the front here, and we have the 2 in the rear, and then up here there's 4 Allens, or case through bolts. So we got to get all them loose as well. So that's pretty much what we do here. We just back them out.
Take them out.
And then we'll be on to removing this cylinder in a minute or two. Alright, so we got the base gasket broke loose, and just going to wiggle it out, like I was saying, and work these out.
Don't want to forget the washers.
Yeah, we don't want them falling inside on accident when we go to pull this up. It may be into the bottom end anyway, but we're gonna assess that when we get this part.
Yeah, we might have misunderstood. We figured the top end was good.
Yeah.
Loose, or
Yeah, it's loose. You're making it move.
I have to get a screwdriver out. Get under it somehow.
There we go.
You get it?
There, yep, got it off.
Okay, now there's some in the front too. Did you get those off?
No, I guess I did not.
Okay, now what we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to get a rags down in there, because if that wrist pin keeper is loose, I don't want it to fall down inside.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you could hear what he was saying, but we're gonna stuff rags in here right away to prevent a wrist pin from falling in there. If a wrist pin keeper from falling in there, if it is disengaged from the piston, because we're gonna pull it up to where we expose them. So anyway, all right. So we just removed the cylinder, and I'm still holding the pistons here, and he's gonna look at it. But I think I can see a ring in there, or a keeper in there.
Oh yeah, it's still in there.
So we don't know what caused that vertical gouging like what we saw. Keepers in this one well too. The piston isn't all scarred up from going up and down. So we got the rags in there just for protection.
Well, it doesn't look like the oil ring was messed up. Sometimes they overlap. Here's where one deal is.
we have this one here. It look like they're 180 from each other, or approximately.
It's
So
all looking good. These pistons, nice. Actually,
I don't know. We might just had a faulty bore or something.
yeah,
I don't know.
Weird.
Well, we got to fix that. Maybe I don't know what's going to happen here. So we'll start talking about it coming up here. Okay, so what's the next step here on the Norton? We're going to take this cylinder in to the machine shop and see what's going on here with this this groove here that got created. These cylinders, originally when we restored this bike a while back, years ago, these were bored out to 20 over. The limit on Nortons is 60 over. So not sure what's going to take to make that. Hopefully we can bore it out to 60, but that'll be the limit. And then I'll have to look for a new cylinder someday if we ever have to do anything with this again. Also, the pistons didn't have any weird spots on them, so we don't really know what happened. So we're gonna have them all measured up and see if we can figure out what happened. All right, so we got the cylinder at the machine shop. They're gonna hone it out a little bit to see what they're gonna be able to fix that or not. But in the meantime, here back at the shop, we are messing around with trying to figure out where our timing was all setting at for this thing. So what we did was we rolled this up to like top dead center, and they were actually sitting at, and we backed it up to 30 degrees past.
So it's before top dead center.
Yeah, before top dead center. See in there? Nice little gauge there that tells you what degree marks. And then that line lines up with that 30 right there. So this bike does have a boiler ignition in it. And then once we have that all figured out where we want it to be, we run over here to this side and check how the boiler is set up. And inside there, this is the timing mark for the Nortons.
There's a little hole.
There's a little hole right here where my finger's kind of pointing at. There's a little white dot in there. You can clearly see it. That's where it needs to be sitting at. That's a little bit different setup than Triumph's, but
That's the setting. That's timing.
this is our timing for the...
The Triumph one is under here, and I used that for this cable. So if this was a Triumph, we would have put a cable through here, and then we'd look at under there because it turns the other direction.
Okay. Well, there we go. So we're sitting pretty good here. So we're going to remove the ignition module here, and then we're going to pull the cam out. We don't have to do this, but
Right now.
Right now,
We have to, but
yeah, because we're going to take this cover off.
and you'll see them white dots in a minute. There's the white dot. See, there's actually two of them. You can set that any place you want, but it's got to line up with that hole at 30 degrees, so, or 31. But it's good enough to start it. And we use a timing light.
So yeah, we'll work on taking this cover off. So yeah. All right, here we go. We're gonna remove this cam. It's sitting in there on a taper, so that means it'll just like come right out, in theory. But we have to give it some mechanical advantage to get it pulled out.
And make a special service tool for that.
Yeah, a special little slide hammer here. So you thread into where that bolt was at. Just pull it out.
Well, sometimes. Yeah. See, tapers on.
So that was this piece here was tapered onto that. So once we have that off, we're able to get the cover off now. So because that would actually lock this on here if you didn't remove that first. All right, so checking out the crank here. The rods feel pretty good. There's no twist in them.
No, and there's no up and down.
Okay, yeah, there's no up and down. But the noise we think we're hearing
good.
is the side-to-side thrust movements. Oh well, there's no real way to measure that right now. So we think that sounds excessive. So
There's a way to measure it. And we're gonna, with a dial indicator, once we get the cover off.
on the primary side, we'll measure it with the dial indicator, like you said. So, but as of right now, that's the noise we're hearing. We think.
Yeah, I don't know what else it could be.
Yeah, because everything else down here seems nice and good. So, yeah, that's kind of what it looks like in there. Cam sits right here in front.
Cam lobes are good.
Yeah. So were the tablets. Tablets were in good shape too.
Yep.
But anyway, so we're going forward here. All right, so we decided to take the primary cover off and stuff here. So we got to remove all, to get to that, we got to remove all this. The footrest and the brake assembly and all that stuff. This is all like one unit, so we can just take the whole thing off.
Yeah.
Instead of like on the Triumph, it was like 3 different pieces. All like hooked together and stuff. So, this is
Just
high.
turn this back and leave it out of our way.
Right.
Now, we'll put these back on here.
Yeah, we don't want to misplace those.
Well, just be easier.
So this Norton primary is a lot cleaner looking than like some because it's got all the screws are hid. All the screws are like hidden. So it's actually really only being held on by just the center one here. Which makes it for a clean, nice, smooth look. Which is something I kind of like, but anyway. Well, there we go. We're taking that retaining bolt out. And just for reference, this was the last year, this nice smooth cover. Because in 75, they added screws all the way around it.
And they had that starter, see.
Oh yeah, because we had the starter provision right here on a 75s. So.
I'm going to take this out because sometimes I have to help.
Yeah, grab it with a finger or something and pull it out.
Well, yeah. Sometimes, because there's a big rubber O-ring in here. And sometimes it sticks really good. Depends upon how long it's been together, you know. But,
Well, that's a good thing.
but sometimes it comes right apart. And you don't want to put screwdrivers in here. So
I've seen that before too on other bikes. Yeah, because it doesn't take much of anything. There's like damage this all up, but the screwdriver prying on it. And you want this surface to maintain its integrity by not having a bunch of weaving, mauled up marks in it. Otherwise, it doesn't seal.
I still cheat a little, but I get in here and I just help a little.
There we go.
See how
We'll let it
popped?
drain.
See how it popped?
Yeah,
I
just-
use this center piece here to push against it with a wrench and just pop it out. Once it moves, it comes right out.
Yeah, we didn't damage nothing by doing
Oh
that.
no. Yeah, there's the O-ring.
All right. Okay. There we go.
Still pretty clean.
Yeah, it looks nice and
Maybe
Nice
a little
and-
dirt at the bottom, but that's normal. Clutch residue.
yeah. So the first step when getting ready to remove this primer, we don't want to forget this wire here that's coming off the stator and stuff. So it comes out back through here, and then it's coming up over here, and he's gonna remove it right over here, unhook it, because we don't want to damage this and forget about it while we're trying to pull it off. So yeah, there we go.
There, it'll pull right out.
Yeah, okay. Because we have it nice and sealed right here. We're going to try to leave that if we can. So, and the whole group of wires will just come right out as a group.
If we can. It's moving.
It looks like it's moving a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, maybe it just looks worse than it
I
is.
wanna get a measure.
We're going to find out. But to get this inner primary off, we got to remove these 3 bolts. There's 2 on the back side here, 1 up here, down here, and then there's 1 up front right here. So we have to remove this unit, and of course we have to take the chains off,
Take this off. Take this out. Take clutch out.
That's all it's coming off as a group. But we have to disassemble this whole thing right here for sure. So here we go. Well, here we go. We're setting up a device here for measuring. Magnet hooks to this clutch here, and then a dial indicator on the end of it.
We're going to try it anyway.
We're going to try this.
Come on, slide.
We're going to not lock the... We did this with the Triumph too, if you watched that video, but we locked the rods from moving and banging into stuff.
Now I can hold this. Okay, so we are, there's 0. 10, 15, 14. Wow, we might not be. We'll see what the spec says. That just seems like a lot.
Yeah, what are we moving it at? He said 14, 15?
14 thousandths. There's 0.
Okay.
Goes all the way up to 14, almost 15, depending upon how I hit it.
All right, so looking at the manual there, we came across a little spot that talked about lower end noises. It references here pretty much saying that deep knocking noises usually mean there's a main bearing failure. So there's possibly could be what we thought we were hearing. The other options for noises was a slapping noise, usually usually comes from a loose piston. A light knocking noise during acceleration, that says it may be a bad connecting rod bearing. So we had the deep knocking sound kind of when we came to a stop at idle. All 73s, when the A50 came out, had super blend bearings in it, which this has. When we restored this motorcycle years ago, we didn't really mess with the lower end. And we took it to an actual British motorcycle dealership that works on old bikes, and they kind of said that sounded okay, and it was all right. So nothing against them. So we're checking everything. We had what we had. We had 14 here.
Yes.
So we had 14 movement here. The book for the super blends says that this here clearance or free play should be between 10 and 24, and we are at 14.
Yeah,
approximately.
We're at 14.
So this is good actually, but I think and I feel like we've decided we're going to go in anyway.
The book says that it's supposed to be between 10 and 24.
Yeah, 10 and 24. And we're in that range. And there's some well-known guys out there like Comstock and his nickname Dino Dave. They all say kind of like we got to leave this thing have that free play because when that oil pump on the other side pressurizes, it floats stuff back. It pushes this over. So if it can't move, it can't lube properly.
That and all the metal expands. And this is a big, massive piece of metal. When it gets hot, it expands. Yeah. And if you don't have enough end play, it'll put pressure on the bearings on both sides.
Right. And this crankshaft is designed a little bit differently than what we worked on that Triumph a little while back. It's different than that. And
that's a bolt up.
And this is also different than Harley flywheels. So it's going to be a whole different thing. But anyway, we're going to go in and replace bearings anyway, since how we are here. And we don't want a main bearing failure because it could be on its way from the noise we're hearing. So that pretty much summarizes that. So anyway. Alright, so we're going to finish pretty much this video up by just taking the primer and stuff all apart. Because we're kind of at a standstill till we get stuff. But we're going to check some measurements here on the charging system here.
So you're supposed to be able to slide an 8,000ths feeler gauge all the way around. If you don't, it'll burn up the stator.
So
I was just checking it before I took it apart.
So it looked like we was able to do that. So.
Oh yeah. See, it's magnetic, so it's kind of hard. It sticks to it. It would be nice to have the brass one, but I don't have one.
So yeah.
And once you loosen it all up, it could move, I suppose. See?
Yeah, I want to throw off your measurement.
We didn't leave a lot of wire there. It's kind of hard. I don't want to break it.
There you go. Alright, we'll work on taking that off.
I would have Loctited this originally.
Yeah. We also upgraded this. We put a beveled washer in here as well.
Yeah.
We felt like it was an upgrade.
It is. A lot of people use them. It's a beveled washer, so what it does is it flattens onto here. Plus it puts a little pressure back here so it doesn't loosen up. Along with the lock washer there, it really holds. Put a little Loctite on it and torque it down and stays tight forever. I gotta take this out.
Yeah, I want to misplace that.
And then you got to keep track of all the shims. This is a special piece that it fits in here, and this is counterboard, so that you can put the key in there, and that the rotor sits at a specific spot so it never rubs on the chain. It's pretty neat, really.
So it brings it out so it doesn't touch the chain.
They got different amounts of shims so you can put in here to get that clearance. So whatever it has in it, I'm keeping in it.
Right.
That way I don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. Re-engineer stuff, you know, stuff like that.
Don't want to do that.
So.
Okay, next thing we got to do is get the service tool for this.
I'm going to pull out our...
Take that apart.
Yeah. So this is a diaphragm style clutch here. Which is a lot different looking than the Triumph one is. Just by looking at that.
I think it's a 3/4. Yeah, it is.
Right.
You'll know when it's right because this loosens up. And once that's loose, take a screwdriver and you find the beginning of this and you lift up. You never do that without this being free, because it could, potentially be lethal.
Yeah. So yeah, because it would be under pressure, they'd fly out.
So now,
Right.
originally 850s had brass clutches. And this one looks to have the original. Also, I put a Dino Dave pushrod seal on here, and that's a nut you can buy from him. It's been milled out just right, and it's got a little O-ring in there, and that keeps grease from the transmission migrating out to these clutches, which makes these slip. Since we put this in here, never slips, never. It just works. And best money I ever spent.
Yeah, so if you want one of them, you gotta look for, what did you call it? Just
It's a pushrod seal for a Norton. Dino Dave makes them. You can get a hold of him on atlanticgreen.com. Let's see, we gotta have to come up with another. This, since he made this, it might be standard. It might be a standard size. Oh yeah, it is.
all right. Now we'll get this off of here, and then we'll check it out.
And we'll Loctite it.
There we go. We had to put in gear to lock the transmission so you could, remove this. And this is something else he was just saying we Loctited it as well when we put this together originally. Yeah.
There's a O-ring right in there.
All right.
And you can see how well it works. It's dry. It was dry out here, and it's all wet right there. And there is no sign of grease getting
Anywhere.
out.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, works real well.
Yeah. Cool. So now we're about to the point of pulling this thing off. We got to remove screws. Up there yet, but
Gotta find the right one.
I'll be taking this. We're taking this off here, and we'll be able to pull the chain and assembly off.
Might have to pull that out of there. Let's see. Nope. This is only torque. The book says 70 foot-pounds, but it's only 45.
So their books are on?
Yeah, the book is misprint, and I can show you why. Behind here, there's a circlip, and what'll happen is you get it so tight, it breaks the circlip. So you gotta be careful.
So the book says 70, but you're only supposed to do 45 on this.
45 maximum. Yeah. There again, if you put this together with Loctite, it'll never come off.
So the circlip you're talking about.
Yep. Another good place for a bevel washer.
Yep.
Okay, now the clutch can come off. But we're going to take it all off as a unit, so now I got to have the other pull.
Right. Right. So what we'll do here is we'll get a puller and pull this off, and he's gonna grab both of them. I'm gonna try to wiggle this thing through there as he's pulling it off. Let's see how that works. And we just got to get a little bit of some advantage on it to get it loose because it's...
Oh, it's on a taper. It's tight.
Yeah, it's probably held in there pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yep, it is. I gotta get a... Maybe that... Where's that half-inch wrench at? Here it is. Oh, I gotta tighten this first.
Right, so you gotta tighten them up. We gotta make sure we engage all the threads as much as possible so we don't like rip threads off our sprocket. So here we go.
Just a minute here. I gotta get this in to our advantage.
Yeah.
It's gonna pop when it goes. Trust me.
So
I've had to use impacts before. There it goes.
yeah, there we go.
Swear to God. Feels like you break something.
It sounded like it, so, but we didn't, so, that we know of. So.
That's how they are. They're tight.
All right. So, here we go.
Okay, now, that can just stay there.
Right, I just don't want to make sure it gets caught somehow when you go to pull it. Here we go.
For some reason, it's there. It goes.
There,
Jeez.
okay, there we go.
Here, let me just, yeah, there you go. Now hook that back up there. Okay, you got it?
That was quite a maneuver. Okay, there we go.
The other key fell out.
All right, yeah, so here's the key. We won't lose that.
Here's the rest of the clutch.
All right, next is the inner primary cover.
Let's see. Use shims to get your clutch. There's more than one here. These are shims to get your, so you have chain alignment.
Right.
Okay. That clip
That's circle.
is right inside of this brass right here. See there?
Oh, yeah. Well, any sort of pressure would.
So now, yeah, but this is recessed, and this does fit over the C-clip, and so that is how it's made.
Okay.
So that's how it's done.
Right.
And there's a felt seal on there. Okay, now that we got this off, now we can bend these tabs over. There's tabs on these little, see they're locked into this deal?
Yep.
But there's little tabs that's been bent over after we tightened these
Locking
up.
that bolt head from turning.
Yep, locking them in place.
Right. So, all right, here we go. We're going, that's next.
Piece of junk screwdriver. We're tapping on this.
I'm just bending those back. Sometimes they break off, so we'll probably put new ones on.
This
Anyway.
one up here did break.
Oh, okay, well then there we go. So, happens.
So it must have been used more than once. Sometimes we don't use them more than once. I need a 7/16 pocket. 7/16.
Here we go. Getting these off of there.
See, it broke.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Just put this all in the primary because that way
We gotta put it back together. We know
we
where
know
everything's
right
at.
where everything goes.
Yeah.
We'll just get new ones of these. We got new ones.
Yep.
I don't like to use them too much. They were pretty beat up.
Yeah.
Okay, now we don't want to lose these either.
The little spacers for
They're
the.
the spacers for the alternator. Okay,
Okay,
this
here we
should
go.
come off of here. There's
there.
that.
There we go.
Now,
That gives us access to getting the motor out. So
oil
then,
can drip out of these holes once you take this out, depending upon how much oil's in the sump.
okay.
So, plus, there is a certain amount of shims here too. That's so that this case
primary
isn't wobbly this way or that way. It's supposed to be perfectly straight also. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, I think this is where we're going to end on this little first segment here. Not sure how many segments or how many parts this whole video entourage are going to be on this Norton, but as of right now, we're waiting on the cylinder to get cleaned up a little bit to see if we can use it or not, and then we're going to be taking the motor out here.
Next step is we've got to take the front motor mount out, and we got to take this off, disconnect all the hoses, and then pull this out of here.
So, hope you enjoyed all this, and then we'll see you again soon when part 2 comes out, but anyway. Yeah, we'll see what happens when we get going forward with this thing. See you again soon.